welcome along to the Make It Count podcast. My name is David.
My name's Matt.
And we are making it count. No, we are the Taylor Bros.
Making it count.
Making it count, yeah, every minute of the week.
We're back with our pretty much monthly book review at this point.
Is it?
It's pretty much.
Okay. And today we're looking at the Michael Hyatt book, No Fail Meetings. 5 steps to orchestrate productive meetings and avoid all the rest.
I like that, avoid all the rest. Yes, we've all been in an unproductive meeting that's like, why am I here?
Yes, and that is one of the important questions to ask.
So, can you tell us a little bit about who Michael Hyatt is, why he's got any expertise?
Let me just tell you about... He's obviously written a lot of things. I think he started a couple of businesses, right?
Okay.
And he does quite a lot of speaker sort of engagement things, from experience,
like conferences, speaking at those sort of things.
Leadership sort of stuff. Lots of people speak well of him. Some like Tony Robbins, Cal Newport, Patrick Lencioni, Dave Ramsey, Seth Godin,
some big names in
John
there.
Acuff have all sort of talked about some of the stuff he's written.
Great.
So he starts off the book, No Fail Meetings, pretty much with this. Earlier this week, I attended an incredibly productive meeting. It was long, but we accomplished what we set out to do. We stayed on point and had great discussion, made significant decisions, and knew exactly what was expected of us afterwards. Everyone left feeling like it was an excellent use of our time. And believe it or not, we all had fun.
Wow.
How many of your meetings feel like that?
Very few.
Yeah.
In various different domains of life, whether that's work or sort of stuff with working youth groups and things like that. Often it feels like the meeting is hijacked by someone.
Yes. So it's interesting, isn't it? Because meetings, I think one of the things he talks about is meetings feel like work, look like work, but often actually don't do any productive
They're
work.
not actually productive, yes.
Yeah. And so he talks about a number of questions really you should be asking about meetings that can help clarify. So here's 5 steps to no fail meetings. Decide if the meeting is even necessary, and if so, what type and format it should be. But I think that first thing, decide if the meeting is even necessary.
Yep, I like that. Because it so often feels like you have... I mean, there are some that are just in the calendar every week, your weekly progress report, or even some people have a daily check-in in the morning. Mm-hmm. And that can be good, but it can also become very easily just a rote, we just turn up because we turn up. Mm-hmm. Is it still helping us? Yeah,
is it actually a productive meeting? Who is it helping? And that's kind of the point. Is this basically a status meeting? Is this a status update where we've had a 15, 20, an hour long meeting where everyone's gone around and given their updates, which we could have read on 5 minutes on an email or on a Slack channel or Teams or something. Yeah. So that's a meeting that shouldn't happen, probably. So the second thing, or second step, is schedule the right people at the right time for the right length in the right location.
Right. So make sure you get the right.
There's lots of rights here, but the right people, like you said straight away when we started this episode, why am I at this meeting?
Yes.
If you are asking that question, you probably shouldn't be at that meeting. Or the person leading the meeting hasn't done a good job.
Yes.
Because they haven't let you know why you're there.
Yes.
So you don't know what the goal of the meeting is, and you don't know how you're contributing to that goal.
Yes. And if that's the case, how can you possibly contribute in a positive way?
Yeah. So the right people is really important. And one of the things he talks about is just look at that weekly meeting you have for 1 hour. How many people are there? Okay. Are they all meant to be there? Because if they're not, the time, that hour of 8 people, and the money you're paying them for that 8 people who have probably other priorities, that meeting isn't just, annoying. It could be very costly financially and time-wise in terms of overall productivity, because in having that meeting, you're not doing the other things.
Yes, for sure. And obviously, I don't know if he comes to this later. What's the next thing?
For the right time and the right length.
The right length, that's important. Does he talk about what the right length is?
Well, they talk about
trial and error.
They talk about that law, isn't it? how long something takes fills the time that it's given, sort of thing, you know. So
it's probably got a name. We should find out what
I
that
can't
name
remember what it was,
law
but
is.
yeah, it's that law where, you know, the length of time you give to do something, that is the length of time it will take.
Sure.
And so if you have an hour-long meeting, it's going to take an hour. That same meeting, if you gave it half an hour or 20 minutes, you could probably do it in half an hour or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So he sort of went and looked at it and went, well, the research I looked at about attention span was 18 minutes. So I plan meetings around 18 minutes long.
There you go.
And
Same as the TED Talk.
That gives
the original
us,
TED Talk.
yeah, that gives us sort of a focus to keep going, to drive, to make sure. I don't know if there's a perfect length of meeting, because that depends on what type of meeting.
What the purpose is.
Is it that routine check-in, or is it a one-off? We need to solve this problem. We're starting a project. I need everyone here. This is going to be 3 hours. You know, so there are different. Or maybe there's an external meeting with the client.
Yeah.
You're on board. That's going to look different. You know, you don't want 18 minutes, quick in and out. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I like a short meeting. Short meeting is a good meeting typically, or it can at least it shortens a bad meeting.
Step 3, prepare a results-driven agenda.
Yes, I like that.
What does that stand out to you?
Basically, it's what is the point of this? What is the actual result we want out of this? Not just like, oh, we have a question or we want to try and figure something out. It's like, no, like, in a sense, get smart with that. What is the goal? Because then you can drive towards that. Yeah,
and basically he said lots of people are lazy. Ultimately, they book a meeting because they don't know how to start a thing.
Yes.
So they think, oh, I'll use other people's thinking, and they can come along and they can do some thinking, and that's just basically lazy.
Yes.
And you've got to stop that.
Yeah.
Really, you can't use your laziness and outsourcing your thinking to hope other people come along.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of the book from Nirial, Indistractable. He talks about this with meetings, and he was saying you can eliminate a lot of meetings from your organization, pointless meetings that is, by having a few simple requirements. And one of them was that the person making the meeting has to have thought about solutions to their problem for at least an hour or something. Mm-hmm. And in the sending out of the meeting agenda, they also have to send out like a page long, this is my problem, this is my thoughts, this is what I've come up with so far. Mm-hmm. And he said, if you did that, most meetings would probably be non-existent because people have come to a solution already.
Yeah, exactly. He said, basically, this is it. By punting to a meeting, oftentimes in certain situations, you're outsourcing your thinking, enlisting others in your procrastination, or both, basically.
Wow. Yeah.
And like you said, if you could have solved that problem by having a 10-minute sit down on your own later, you should have done that already.
Yeah.
And so later he talks about, if you've been invited to a meeting, don't say yes straight away. In fact, you should always say no, right? That should be your go-to. No, unless you can say yes. And if you're not sure what that meeting's about, you go, hey, I'm unsure what this meeting's about. So you're helping them be clear on that goal of that meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you'll go, actually, I have other priorities.
Yeah.
I'm not needed there.
Yeah.
Or maybe you are needed there.
Interesting. I like that. What's rule number 3?
Well, step number 4, that was 3.
Oh, that was
step
3.
number 4, meet and engage in a powerful, productive conversation that moves the needle for your business and projects. And I think that's obviously a bit vague, but if you do that, I think a lot of meetings succeed if the person planning the meeting has done a lot of preparation.
Yes.
Before they send out the invite, they go, I need this meeting to accomplish this goal. That means I need these 4 people here. Yep. We can do this in half an hour. I've got a strong agenda. I'll invite these people, and I would like them to spend 10 minutes thinking about it beforehand as well.
Yes.
And so that you're coming, you're prepared, you've got something to go forward into.
This, I mean, something that's clicking for me. This feels like this fits perfectly into the Art of Gathering book, where she talks about how the event, we think, you know, if you've got a birthday or something coming up, like we think the event happens or it starts when like the invite says it starts, but no, actually the event starts when the invite is sent out. And I think in this context, in a work context, probably is where most meetings take place, is actually the preparation has to have happened before you send that invite out. It's not just a title, who's coming, where it is and when. It's and all this directed stuff, because you're thinking, where are we getting to? Who then do I want to gather to make that team work? Because then it's, as she talks a lot about it, what makes a good gathering is it has to actually have a disputable purpose. And so people can opt out.
Yeah.
So that the people that are in,
Yeah.
rather than just, we're going to have everyone together and we're just going to kick it around and figure it out. And because we're a good team, you're looking at a long, boring, unproductive meeting.
And that's ultimately what lots of us have experienced, is a meeting which we don't really know where it goes. There's nothing. There's no steps afterwards because there's no results driven or there's no goal driven objective for that thing. That meeting, and it also, the preparation should happen by the meeting leader, but it should be able to happen by everybody.
Yeah.
And that, one of the things I remember reading was that these sort of brainstorming sessions that we talk about, these creative sessions, they almost always fail and come up with terrible ideas. There was that thing, wasn't it, that like the best ideas, I can't remember which like tech giant it was, but they were like, our best ideas never came from these creative meetings. Right.
Intriguing.
They always came from someone working individually and then coming and sharing that.
Sure.
And so they were like, if you want to have a good creative session, everyone should go off on their own, come up with those things, and then you come together, because often the loudest person or the person with the strongest opinion, their thing comes out. It might not be the best. You've shut down by accident sometimes, on purpose, other times, all the other things. And it's probably one of the reasons why, is it Jeff Bezos for Amazon? He doesn't quite do that, but basically the first 15 minutes of a meeting, he has everyone in silence reading through the agenda of what's going to happen in that meeting, reading through that thing.
Yeah, that's one way to make sure that everyone turns up to the meeting prepared, because the first 15 minutes is preparation.
Yeah, I don't trust that you lot will do this in your own time, so I'm going to build that into the meeting, and we're just going to sit here on our own, read it, go through that. Now we can have the conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting. And then the fifth step, let's get to that quickly.
Yeah.
Follow up by reviewing your meeting notes, completing your assigned tasks, and holding others accountable for theirs.
Yeah.
So ultimately, if you finish that meeting really well, and it's like, hey, we had this meeting, you're going to do these two things, I'm going to do this, person over there, they're going to do that. Next meeting, follow up, check in. That's the result. So did you do it? What happened? Right. Okay. Now we can problem solve that. But ultimately, how many meetings do you come out knowing that you have to do anything different? No.
Yeah, exactly.
And so next time there's nothing to check in on. It's just another meeting. And it's like this endless sort of.
And I think that rings quite nicely. So I suppose coming back to how does this work for us? How does this work for the Make It Count audience? What do we actually want to take away from this? I think for me, a clear action step, I really like that, is in a sense, your default should be no, but not just like a hard no, but like a no, can you clarify the purpose of this meeting? No, I'm not clear how I can contribute. And that gives them an opportunity to actually think about it and then have to do a little bit of work and go, this is why it's important for you. Yeah. And you get closer to being like, actually, yeah, great, I can join in that now. Or, nah, still, I don't think that I'm going to help there.
Yeah. And it requires you, if you want to get into the situation where you're saying, hey, I don't want to go to those meetings, or, I don't feel like I'm needed in it. It does require you, in a business setting especially, to know your own priorities.
Yeah.
Actually, my big priority, according to this organization, is this right now.
Yeah.
And would you rather me be there not contributing, or be focused on here and actually moving the big project forward?
Exactly.
And so you're helping someone go, actually, yeah, you don't need to be there. That's okay. Crack on. But it does. You're also bringing a bit of accountability to yourself, because if you're going, hey, I'm going to do this other project, make sure it's going well. You're on top of that. But it does help you, and you're helping others.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So if you run a meeting, know what it's for. Get the right people there. Don't just invite everyone. Think about it. Spend time planning it, thinking about it. Shorter can be more valuable, especially on routine and repeat meetings. And create clear steps. Like if it's a results-driven agenda, that you should be able to go away and go, this person's going to do this.
Exactly.
This person's going to do this. This is the project.
Not just a group. Let's collectively do these things. Names to each thing.
Yeah, and what does that look like? And like you said, it becomes disputable. Hey, Matt, I need you to do this thing by next week. You can come back and go, actually, that time frame is not likely. Yeah. That thing's going to take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I will do these 2 sub-steps. I'll contact the client and arrange a phone call with them but actually we're not going to be able to move the drawings forward until after that
Yeah.
may or may not happen this week.
And if you don't, I'm thinking all about the person that maybe feels disempowered. They're just invited to loads of meetings. They never initiate any, and they don't have the sway to say no. Well, maybe, slip this into Secret Santa this year for your meeting your boss or something. No fail meeting. Slip it into conversation. Like, let's have these principles.
Yeah, because you can always lead up. That's the other thing. Like, no business wants to sit there and realise they're wasting money.
Yes.
If everyone has that same experience of being invited to too many meetings that they don't want to be a part of, I think a huge amount of time in office, sort of, white collar positions is spent in. There's probably some numbers in here that I didn't pull out, but like it's probably a huge percentage of time is spent in these meetings unproductively. Like, is that how we want to be spending our resources and our payroll?
Not really.
So, Matt, what's your action step as a result of this podcast?
Just say no.
That's
like the old drugs campaign.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all for this week at the Make It Count podcast. Thank you guys for listening.